and I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger.
Coronavirus, coronavirus.
Coronavirus!
Greetings, comrades, call me bad. To be honest, I mentioned coronavirus so that I can add a tag to the video and maybe get some views and subscribers. Because... yeah. But I wouldn't want to be a complete asshole. Coronavirus is spreading fast, so remember, don't panic, wash your hands, keep your distance, don't touch your face, wear a mask. If you have fever, cough, and difficulty breathing, seek medical care early. And
Stay the fuck at home.
okay, let's move on to the film. 28 Days Later is a 2002 British post-apocalyptic horror film directed by Danny Boyle.
Oh, Danny Boyle!
And written by Alex Garland. It was also a financial success, grossing more than $82.7 million worldwide on its modest budget of $8 million, and becoming one of the most profitable horror films of 2002. Time Out magazine ranked it the 97th best British film ever. The film is known for raising interest in zombie horror movies, and the fact that there are no classic slow zombies in it. The zombies here are moving fast as hell. The film begins with a demonstration of riots and military conflicts. Then the camera changes its angle and we see some kind of laboratory, in which, presumably British military scientists, conduct terrible experiments on chimpanzees. A group of animal rights activists are trying to free chimpanzees, and we find out that animals are infected with a highly contagious rage-inducing virus.
The chimps are infected! They're highly contagious. They've been given an inhibitor.
One of the infected animals bites his savior. Thus the virus began its journey through the United Kingdom. I don't think that the creators wanted to offend animal rights activists with this scene. I think the message was, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Or maybe there was no message and I'm just looking for a hidden meaning where it does not exist. Some guy wakes up from a coma. Oops, wrong guy. Not this one. Would be great, but no. No.
Schwester, ich bin bereit für mein Bad.
German Cleveland. Ah, here's the guy. Our guy Jim wakes up from a coma in the hospital with no signs of life, drinks product placement and begins to loot the first location. I think everyone who'd be in his place would collect all the values, especially money. London looks as lifeless as a hospital, until Jim enters the church. There he sees parishioners, who, apparently due to the end of the world, devastated the cellar of communal wine.
Hello?
And the priest, who is very dissatisfied with the situation. The chase begins. And Jim is saved by two survivors with Molotovs. The savers are Mark and Selena. Mark is trying to cheer on Jim with a joke.
Man walks into a bar with a giraffe. They just get pissed. The giraffe falls over. The man goes to leave and barman says, "Oi! You can't leave that lion there." He says, "No, it's not a lion. It's a giraffe."
But
It's completely humorless.
just like I am. During the conversation, Mark and Selena tell Jim what's happening. We learn that before that, Jim was a bicycle courier, but he had an accident, got a head injury and woke up today. And that the infection is also in Paris and New York. Jim wants to find his family, and the next morning they went to his house. There they find the corpses of Jim's parents, who committed suicide. Mark and Selena fall asleep, but Jim can't sleep and he decides to watch a home video. But noise and light draw the infected. And here one of the shortcomings of the film appears. All the action scenes were shot according to the rule, shake the camera harder so that the viewer couldn't see anything. Mark is bitten, and Selena decides to chop off his hand to stop the spread of infection.
Wait.
But she got a little carried away and killed him. Jim and Selena decide to move on. Soon they notice that one of the residents of the building has a party. And they decide to go there. But they were not the only ones who want to drink and dance. Partygoers run after them. But they were stopped by Face Control in a riot suit. The party was hosted by a guy Frank and his daughter Hannah, who kindly offered Jim and Selena a shelter. They spend the night at Frank's house, but the next morning they receive a radio broadcast from a military base, saying that they have the answer to infection and everything they need for life. So they pack up and hit the road in the most suitable car for the zombie apocalypse. In the underground tunnel they encounter an obstacle, and then...
Hold on!
But there were some consequences.
Oh no! Fucking rat!
The infected are approaching, and now they need to change the tire really fast. Then they go shopping, find fuel, Jim kills a boy, they have a picnic, watch animals.
Look over there.
Like a family.
Do you think they're infected?
No.
Actually, they were watching horses. They talk heart to heart, they take some pills, hallucinate, and the next morning they hit the road. They arrive at the place mentioned in the broadcast, but there's nobody there. Frank gets angry and catches a drop of infected blood with his eye. Then he really gets angry, but soldiers killed him. After that, they take Jim, Hannah and Selena to their base. The base is a mansion around which a bunch of soldiers built walls. Things are going pretty well. Jim is given a tour of the base. Meets Mailer.
Meet Mailer. Mailer, Jim.
Kisses Selena. They all have dinner together.
In the kitchen.
Until... After they fight off the infected, the soldiers, still in combat mode, begin to flirt dirtily with Selena. After a little conflict, we learn that the soldiers who were trained to be physically and mentally stable, in just a few weeks after the beginning of the disaster, were so desperate that they were trying to commit suicide.
8 days ago, I found Jones with his gun in his mouth.
And Major West, this is Major West, promised them women. Are they really so desperate that they would rape a woman and an underage girl? Of course, Naomi Harris is very hot, but are all men really such maniacs? Boys grow up to be rapists? Stop. I used to be a boy. Oh, damn it! Jim's not gonna let that happen. He's trying to escape with Hannah and Selena, but they were caught by perverts in uniform. Perverts lead a soldier who stood up for Jim, and Jim himself, to be executed. We see the place where the soldiers carry the dead, which is at least a mile away from their base, instead of burning them near their base and not putting themselves at risk. Jim managed to escape. The soldiers forced Hannah and Selena to wear dresses for a night of love and rape. But suddenly, and from this moment on, an ordinary bicycle courier becomes and begins to kill trained soldiers in stealth mode, makes his way to a guarded military base, frees Mailer, a couple of good jokes.
Stay with that, Hannah. Stay with it.
Don't worry. I feel fine. Really.
What you shouting about?
Half of the inhabitants of the base are killed by the infected, the other half by Jim. The main pervert is holding Selena as hostage. But when he saw the new, transformed Jim, he was very scared. But Jim is a good person, and he decides to push the pervert's eyes deeper into his skull so that he cannot see him, and he wouldn't be so scared. While Jim and Selena were kissing, they were interrupted by another good joke.
Hannah! It's okay! He's not infected.
But I thought he was biting you.
He's kissing her.
Time to go, but in their car is Major West. But Hannah is acting very clever. They are leaving. Jim's arrived, and then follows cliffhanger. There was also an alternative ending, where, at the time of Frank's infection, he was not killed by soldiers. Jim tied him up, and after that, they found a hospital where, in one of the closed rooms, there was a mysterious stranger. But this scenario was not completed. The stranger tells Jim, Selena and Hannah that Frank can be cured. He needs a blood transfusion, to the last drop. But it's impossible to do this without mixing uninfected blood with infected. Then it turns out that this is the same hospital from the beginning of the film. Jim is infected, the end. So, what about the movie? Some people call it the best zombie movie ever, but it's not quite right. It's hard to call these infected people zombies. They are just very, very angry people. There are no hordes of infected wandering around. But there is a good story here, good camera work, except for action scenes. Interesting characters, great acting, good jokes, and its own special atmosphere. And a few words about music. Listen to this. And now this. At first, I thought, damn, I'm good that I noticed the similarity. But then I found this Wikipedia article and realized that everyone already knows about it and I forget about it. That's all for today. Press dislike if you didn't like the video, like if you did, comment and subscribe. Remember coronavirus precautions and may the force be with you, comrades.